Oh, that hurts. All right, there we go. As I was saying, Michael will join us momentarily here. I think he's joining. Yep, he's coming in. The way we do the podcast is that this is both audio and video. We'll start here momentarily. Basically, we'll have like hitting the record button on the video side of it. And then we will, that'll be out in YouTube. And then separately, we'll have the audio that will go out on your normal, podcast channels and things of that nature. Okay. We'll do about an hour-long-ish conversation. We'll start with an introduction. I'll introduce myself. Michael will introduce himself. I'll toss it to you to introduce yourself. And really, we'll just get going from there. We've got a few good questions, but I have found very often that really just in that introduction, we have a lot of, couple jumping off points, and we just start going from there. We'll just sort of go back and forth. We try to keep it conversational. We try not to pepper you too much, but more than happy for you to share because people hear from us all the time.
Okay.
Any questions?
Not right now.
Okay. All right. Michael, audio all good?
Antwon, would you mind speaking again?
Hello?
Okay, you're a little low. Okay, that works. I can make that work.
Okay. We're all good?
Yep.
All right, then. We're just going to dive right into it with a little tres, dos, uno. Well, hello and welcome back. We are continuing our season where we are... What the heck are we doing? We're going to have to restart this one. What is this season?
Forward motion.
Oh, forward momentum. It's been too long. Wow. Keep that on the video if everybody gets that bonus. I have not blown that in a while. I was just ready. I was so excited to talk to Antwon. I forgot what we were doing.
That's almost as bad as when you forget to hit record.
Back it up. No forward motion on that one. One more time. Tres, dos, uno. Well, hello and welcome back. We are continuing our season where we are building on our foundation. We're taking step forwards. We are getting those blockers out of our way as we start into what is now a new year and actually fairly solidly into it. We are the Building Better Developers podcast. We are Developreneur. I am Rob Broadhead, one of the founders of Developreneur, Building Better Developers, also the founder of RB Consulting, where we help you do a technology reality check. We help you sit down and figure out what it is you got, and then what should you do moving forward. Good thing and bad thing. Good thing is I'm really excited about our guest today. A lot of cool stuff. I think this is going to be a great conversation. It's a little different, a little more in the entrepreneurial side than we've been in a little bit, but I think it's going to be great. Looking forward to it. Bad thing is I was so excited that this is our second take for the introduction to this time around, which is very rare. Usually I just forget to hit record, but this time totally flubbed it. But now, setting all that up, I'm not putting too much stress on Michael to not do the same. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, my name is Michael Malash. I'm one of the co-founders of Building Better Developers, also known as Developreneur. I'm also the founder of Envision QA, where we build and test custom software that eliminates the bottlenecks so your business runs smoother and grows faster. Good thing, bad thing. Good thing, the weather may be cold, but we actually have sunshine. So it's a beautiful day outside, but it's a balming 15 degrees. At least we don't have the snow like we did last time. Bad thing, it's 15 degrees outside. We're still dealing with winter in Tennessee.
Well, now I already said, gave a little bit of a pump up here for our guests, but I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself, Antwon.
How you doing? My name is Antwon Person. I'm an Army veteran of 22 years. I started a business called Skillful Brands, and our focus is to help entrepreneurs eliminate the complexities of starting and running a business.
Well, that's like perfect. One, I just got to start with, it is amazing to me, and this may be a bias or something like that. Everybody I talk to that is ex-military and you say, what do you do? Or what have you been doing? It is like a perfect answer. It's just like, bam, bam, bam. They just rattle it right off. So if you hadn't said that you're ex-military, I would have wondered, I would maybe even have asked, it's like, do you have that in your background? There's just a level of presentation that has. Makes you want to snap a salute or something like that, sit up a little straighter. But I'm digressing. I want to talk right into dive right into it. Let's go deeper into that. What are the complexities of entrepreneurship and starting a business that you guys really focus on?
So one of the things, so my journey started a little bit before, entrepreneurship. So as I spoke, I spent 22 years in the United States Army leading different type of organizations. And when I transitioned out of the uniform, I brought a lot of the principles that I learned there to shape and build the businesses that I'm currently doing at Skillful Brands. My focus is to help, entrepreneurs eliminate these complexities. And what does that look like? So I understand what it feels like to be stuck in your business. I understand the different things that you try just to see if it will work. So I will say the shift in my entrepreneur journey started when I realized that, being busy in your business does not build a business. The hustle that you have, I was hustling in my first business that I started, but I really just didn't have any structure. So, I want to show entrepreneurs that, hey, you might need a mentor. You might need a mentor, and you can't do everything yourself. You need help. You need to get guidance early on in your business.
Now, wow, I wasn't expecting that one. That actually took us now in another different direction. So what do you see? What should somebody look for in a mentor, or in getting that kind of guidance, or getting somebody else to help lead them a little bit?
So I would say what I did, I started out, being a real estate investor. And there were so many different gurus out there that, had different systems and techniques that they were using. What I did is I went to a local real estate investor meeting, and I found the smartest person in the room. And I started hanging around that person, seeing how they operated with clients and how they did their business. And I tell everyone, when you first start a business, having someone, I will say, hold your hand through the first transactions or first sales is very valuable, because it gives you the confidence to know that what you're doing is correct. And I think that played dividends for me and gaining my confidence in the business world.
Now, do you see that also as a way to help you as an entrepreneur to sort of know what you don't know, by allowing somebody else that you can look up to like that to sort of see what you want to be when you grow up, I guess, for lack of a better term?
Right. I would say, the person that I connected with, I felt that they had the blueprint. I did not know what I did not know. So I think when I connected with that person, I saw them do a few transactions, and I was like, okay, this is how you structure this deal, or this is the paperwork that you need. So it just gave me the confidence to, be a real estate investor. And then that transitioned to other, business endeavors as well.
So with it's kind of interesting, because what you're discussing is similar to what we've talked about in the past and what I've gone through, because I relaunched my business 2 years ago, and I went through mentor-ish meetings. I went through like a co-starters program to kind of relaunch, because I've been doing this for 25 years. One of the things you mentioned, mentors and finding that person. Were you looking more for like a business mentor to help you? Like, how were they successful? Or were you trying to find someone in your niche to help you perfect what you were trying to sell or promote as far as your business?
Yeah, that's so funny that you say that. So I spoke to another client last week, and they were asking me, they were a new business, and they were asking me, hey, do I need a mentor in my niche, or do I just need a business coach? And my advice to that person is, when you're first starting out your business, you're getting the right mindset and structure in place. It does not have to be someone in your niche, because at the foundation of any business is the same. So sometimes people put the wrong step in the wrong phase of their business. So I truly believe that a business coach is a business coach at the foundation level, and have to have a strong foundation. All businesses need the same, the proper mindset, the proper structure and system. Then once you reach another phase of your business, then you may want to leverage someone else that is in your industry.
Nice. I like that distinction because so many times throughout my career, I've run into situations where I found like the right person, but at the wrong time. It's like, yes, this is great, but it's not really helping me with the problem I have. It's helping me with that next problem or that next scenario. It is very interesting to hear someone else put it down that way. That yes, you need the business foundation first and the niche later. I really understand that and love that.
Yeah,
Um,
and
yeah,
I
go
would
ahead.
say that that's why I preach framework heavily, because there are gurus out there, but a lot of times they'll have you working on phase 2 or 3 of your business in phase 1. So they might have you working on marketing, building your website, things that are pretty because it's tailored to their business, but really you need to be trying to get the mindset and just the structure down of your business first. And that may take 6 months to a year. And I consider that the proof of principle for your business. Get the foundation done first, and then you can transition into phase 2.
That's great. Yeah, it's a very solid advice. So based on your experience and the different scenarios we just laid out here, working on the business or working on the niche, what are some of the things that you see new entrepreneurs or even experienced entrepreneurs struggle with or make the mistake with their business starting out, or even, they could be established, but they're still doing it wrong. They're not fully reaching their full potential of their business.
So just like when I started my business, just like other entrepreneurs, I had a full-time job. I was also a husband and a father, and I was trying to run a part-time business. But before you know it, I realized that the involvement of running that full-time business became a full-time requirement. So I used that lesson as I moved forward, and I realized that a lot of other businesses are facing the same thing. They're trying to build a business, and they just don't have the right structure in place. So I will say that, one, the passion that they have for their business, sometimes it takes a little more than passion, because that passion can't run your calendar. It can't close sales. It can't, promote your business. So you have to actually get a good system in place. You have to find a great mentor, and then realize that you can't do it all on your own. You need to hire a VA or someone that can help you actually manage your business.
Now, what do you see as this is a little bit of a loaded question because this is something I actually preach and consult on a regular basis. But what do you see as the point where you need to get, as an entrepreneur, you need to start putting those systems in place? And I guess sort of in the same lines, I want to pair this a little bit to give you a little more to runway with this, is put systems in place, but also bring in assistants or VAs or something that fits that role.
Yeah, so the system that I currently have, I usually talk about, because all businesses are different in what they want to accomplish. So, I usually set a monetary value with a lot of the clients that I train. So, proof of principle, I usually tell them up to 10K a month. If you want to make up to 10K a month, you really can do that on your own. Over 10K a month, you may transition to something different. So it may not be, because mindset and systems are probably the toughest thing that I see business owners need to wrap their head around. Once they get the mindset and the structure right, if they are doing it correctly, following our system, they'll be about at 10K a month. Once you get over that, you want to transition to maybe doing some type of marketing and maybe hire a VA to assist you. And I consider that as the leverage phase of the business, where you really would need to maybe hire a VA. But up to 10K a month based on your business, you more than likely could do that on your own without burnout, without confusion and things like that.
I love that, is where you get to that leverage point. I love using that, how you use that phrase for that, because I think that's great. I've often heard of it referred to as like going into growth mode or something like that, but I love the leverage because that I think ties it back down to like you need somebody to help with that leverage. You need something to push on that lever.
Right.
Now, how do you see? You mentioned that it's entrepreneurs have a hard time getting their head around this this step. What are some of like the blockers or the mental challenges that they have in doing so?
So one, they listen to multiple different people because there's multiple different systems out there, and and what I share with a lot of people is a lot of the systems are really the same, but gurus have put their own spin on the same information and maybe word it differently or give it a different name. So that's the first thing, just understanding that like getting started is the main point. A lot of people are nervous. They don't get started, but getting started, talking to other investors, just being on mentor podcasts, being in mastermind groups and other groups. There's a lot of free tools out there that they could use just to get confidence in their ability to run their business. And I think that's one of the biggest things, just having the confidence to be able to move forward.
Wow, that is perfect for our season focus of getting unstuck and moving forward. It's just sometimes you just got to take that step. I highly agree, and sometimes it feels like just any step, just making that decision to make a step is better than no step at all. Is
Right.
Getting that forward momentum. So is that something? Do you find that that's challenging, or is it usually something that goes over pretty quickly and entrepreneurs are like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm just going to go ahead and dive in, or is it in itself a big challenge?
I think in the model of business, the mindset is probably the toughest thing that entrepreneurs need to get over to actually make their business grow. Once they can get the proper mindset, I think everything else is very simple. The mindset that they can't do it all by themselves, they need to get the proper help. Once they realize that, I think they can have a successful business. But a lot of businesses fail because one, they don't get started, or they just can't get the mindset of that, hey, I'm actually running a business versus, a side hustle.
Oh, that's a great transition, I think, and one that I think a lot of people in our audience can somewhat relate to, or that challenge is, and I'd love you to go a little deeper in that, is the mindset of, we'll talk about the side hustle mindset versus the launching a business or entrepreneurial mindset.
Yeah, so I know a lot of people use these terms interchangeable. So a business versus a company. So what I try to tell individuals, like when you're running a business, you're definitely involved in the day-to-day operations. But I ask them, is your goal to transition that into a company for legacy, where you can step away and the organization continue to run? So if you're just trying to do it for a side hustle and just have a business, I understand that because you have a passion. But if you want to step away and leave that for generational wealth, your goal should be able to establish a company where you can step away and your organization can continue to run.
So looking at your journey, so you talked about when you started out, you were working part-time on your business and you were working full-time. There's a lot of people I know that have gone through that situation and are still in that situation, and they're running, headlong into both situations. When did you find it time to pull the plug, quit the day job, and solely focus on the business and grow it into that company?
So I will say that when I realized that I was stuck and I didn't know where else to go. So, for me, I had an obligation to the military. So I actually got a partner for one of the businesses that I was running that was very informative. And we kind of like worked together while I was still in the military. When I transitioned out of the military, I just knew that I didn't want to go work for another company. And I had a passion for helping other people. So, that for me, I knew at that point I needed to actually get a coach in the industry that I wanted to work in. So I went and hired an actual business coach to make sure that what I was transitioning from the military, the principles, and things like that were transitioning in leadership. values would transition into being a business coach. So I will say that, when your business is stuck and not progressing, it's probably time to get a business coach.
Nice. So you've talked a lot about these mastermind meetings and finding these coaches. What is your suggestion to people to help find them? Because a lot of people are virtual. There's lots of noise on the internet. Everyone's shouting, I'm a great coach, and even locally, there's certain areas I found beneficial. Like I mentioned before, I found a co-starters program here locally. I was able to plug into some local businesses. But what's your recommendation for startups or even those established, how to help them find coaches and find people that they need to talk to help grow their business?
Yeah, so there is a lot of programs out there that are paid programs, and I'm not advocating for a paid versus a free program, but you just have to get out there, get online, start searching. I actually, within the last 2 weeks from just networking with other people, have found two very great programs that are free. You just show up and you share information. And all programs are not the same, but I feel like you could learn something from every program. One of the takeaways from my last meeting that I've only attended it one time because, another person told me about it, is, for example, when you're doing Zoom meetings and things, like, I never thought about this, but when you're doing a meeting or you're in a mastermind, everyone says, hey, so tell me a little bit about you, and then post your information in the chat. One of the things that one of the guys did that I took away, he created a QR code. He put it on his Zoom background. So as he was talking, he was like, hey, if you want to find out about me a little bit more, you can scan this QR code here and all of my information comes up. And I know that might be small, but that was something that I took away from, a meeting that was free. And everyone shared valuable information. So you can always get valuable information from free, groups. You don't have to pay, but they do have BNI and a couple of other programs that are out there.
One other thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just one other thing. So I love that. So I love the tip about the Zoom, that QR code. That's a great idea. And we've actually talked about doing that to our YouTube page because, you can add those cards and things for additional pop. What is a suggestion? So something like that. Are there any other suggestions like that that come to mind that would help startups or businesses kind of promote themselves unintrusively, but still get the message out as to who they are, what they are, and hopefully attract more people or at least get the conversation going?
Yeah. So, in our course, what we teach a lot of our students is all about how to network. And one of the things that we've taken away is how you present yourself when you're initially speaking to people and how you're connecting with them. And what we teach is all about the value up front. So the way we instruct our students is a lot of times people get tired of people approaching them about selling something to them. So our focus is all about creating a network. So when we, meet clients, we really don't talk about what we offer. We kind of talk about how we can help the client or how we can help the individual that we're talking to. And we share with them strategic partners that we're looking for. And we want them to share with us strategic partners that they're looking for. So, we are not really then selling stuff to the actual person we're speaking to. We're just kind of leveraging our network to help them out. And then they're helping us out as well.
I wanted to, I guess, tag on to that before we move off of it is the experience you had with the QR code on the Zoom. I've found that those, and particularly any of the networking groups, much like you sort of mentioned before, there's a lot of all these gurus that basically take the same thing, they repackage it, and they'll change a couple names, but it's roughly the same. It's sort of like there's families of networking groups. But one of the things that I found about those at any level of it is that when you're talking to these other people, when they are in a networking mode, there's amazing how many little things you can read off of these other people, whether it's, Zoom meetings are great. I've seen all kinds of interesting stuff that are Zoom backgrounds that are just, you'll notice you're like, oh, wow, that's a really cool way to self-promote. Or people that have there's a lot of different business card approaches I've seen. I know people don't use business cards much anymore, but just that you have one these days can be in itself can be something that's an icebreaker of sorts. So there's a lot of stuff that comes out of that. I'll call it that community of networking and just getting around other like-minded people. Now I'm going to switch a little bit because I want to dig a little bit more into the entrepreneurial mindset a little bit, because I think these are some things that resonate a lot with entrepreneurs and some of the stuff they struggle with. And one of the things you mentioned a couple of times is we've talked about systems and virtual assistants. How do you, especially because I think it's a weird little like watershed moment when somebody realizes that a VA is actually useful to them. I think there's almost a mental block a lot of times, and this may be just because of what I had, but I think there's sort of a mental block, and you get to a certain point where you're like, oh, wow, this is an investment. This is a leverage. It isn't, another cost center or something like that. What are some of the things that you do to sort of help adjust that mindset, and particularly on how to, as an entrepreneur, to interact with the VA if you haven't done it before, particularly if you haven't managed or led before?
So I would say that so we've hired and let go of multiple VAs. So it drove me to create a system to be able to identify the right VA and then how to engage with that VA. So I think having an onboarding process for any VA is very helpful, where you're laying out your mission, your goals, to get that VA to be part of your team. So we've created an onboarding program where we have a series of different slides and courses that we put the VA through. And then also we have a system where you could use Monday or Asana, where we list all of our tasks in the actual system for our VA. Because when we first started, hiring a VA almost felt like an additional job, because we didn't have a proper structure to be able to communicate with that VA. So then there was another task that I dreaded doing. But once I was able to come up with a great system, so what we kind of do now is we have a screen record. So any task that I give to the VA, I'll list the task in there, but then I'll also create a screen recording of exactly what I'm looking for and post that in the actual task. So, that makes sure that the VA usually is not confused on what I'm asking for. And we've seen that be very helpful. And then another thing is we also make sure that the VAs take ownership in what they're doing and make them part of the team. So I felt that has been very helpful on the way that we leverage our VAs.
And that is where we're going to pause. But don't worry, we are not done with Antwon. We are coming back next episode. We're going to continue with part 2. And yes, this time it's not me. I'm not going to say who it is, but somebody will ask the AI question, and we'll see how that one goes. We'll see what the answer is, because we've talked about a lot of things that touched on it, but didn't exactly get directly to it. Thank you so much for your time and hanging out with us. Appreciate that you're spending your time here. I hope that you've gotten as much out of this as we have. This was really a great conversation, particularly those of us that are, when you're doing side hustles, when you're running businesses, when you're in that entrepreneurial mindset. There's a lot of these things that I think just need to be said, even if you know it, even if you've heard it, it helps to be reminded about it. That being said, I'm going to remind you to get out there and have yourself a great day, a great week, and we will talk to you next time.